Hi, Tall Toast here. Today I'll be recapping the crime thriller The Town. Settle in and subtitles on. Charlestown, Boston is known for its high frequency of bank robberies throughout the year, and four friends have got it down to a science. Doug is the mastermind. When a guard walks into the bank with a money bag, they jump into action. Everyone is forced to the ground. The thieves make the bank manager, Claire Kesey, open the vault. After looting the bank and destroying the security camera footage, the thieves start dousing the place with bleach to eliminate any DNA evidence. But they don't realize that the bank manager, Claire, is secretly pressing a silent alarm button with her foot. When they finally catch on, Jem, in a fit of rage, beats up the assistant manager, mistaking him for the alarm presser. During the scuffle, Claire gets a good look at Jem's neck tattoo. With the police closing in, Jem decides to take Claire as a hostage, a first for the group. They blindfold her and take off their masks, then eventually drop her off at a beach once they're far enough away. The FBI takes over the investigation, with Special Agent Adam Frawley in charge. Special Agent Frawley realizes the robbers covered all their tracks and were likely professionals. His team finds the getaway van, but it's been torched, and no one in the neighborhood is willing to testify. The next day, Frawley interrogates Claire, and she tells him what she knows, but holds back on the tattoo detail as the robbers threaten to kill her if she spoke to the FBI. The thieves meet to discuss Jem's poor choice of taking a hostage, but when Jem arrives, he brings more bad news. He has Claire's ID and sees that she lives close by. Jem thinks he should keep tabs on her, but Doug steps in, saying he'll handle it as Jem has already served time and can't afford another strike. In reality, Doug doesn't trust Jem's erratic behavior. Afterward, Doug and Jem go around the neighborhood to do all necessary payments to their gun dealer, their car dealer, and Fergie, an Irish mobster whose front is a flower shop. Then they spend the evening drinking, gambling, and taking drugs. Later on, the gang is hanging out at a bar when Jem's sister, Chris, a single mom, approaches them. She and Doug used to be in together, and she says she misses him, but Doug isn't interested and takes off. Later that night, when Doug is relaxing at home, Chris lets herself in with an old key, and they end up getting intimate on the couch. The next day, Doug begins tailing Claire and ends up at the laundromat after her. When she starts crying over faded bloodstains on her shirt, he uses the opportunity to reach out to her, pretending to offer comfort. To make her feel better, he buys her a drink. Doug and Claire bond as they chat, but Doug lies about his job and his dad's whereabouts. He takes her on a boat ride, but it's not his. He's breaking in. When she asks about bank robbers in Charlestown, he brushes it off, saying the stories are exaggerated. The next day, Doug tells Jem he's got Claire under control, and she doesn't need to be killed. After interrogating and beating up a criminal, Frawley gets a lead. These thieves were different. They knew how to work the box, so they start investigating work records and employee profiles. Frawley also meets Claire for lunch to ask her some more questions and tries to flirt with her, but she mentions she is already sort of seeing someone. Claire and Doug start going out together. Claire admits she is working with the FBI, and Doug pretends to be simply curious to ask her if they have any possible suspects. Claire brings up the tattoo she saw, but she's worried it might get her killed if she tells Frawley. Doug suggests she keep it quiet for now and use it as leverage later. Doug opens up to Claire, telling her that his mum left when he was 6. One day, Claire tells Doug about how she has to take a long way to work because some gang members throw bottles at her car. After dropping her off, Doug picks up Jem, and they go confront the attackers. Doug just beats them up and plants some drugs, telling them to leave town by the end of the week. But Jem gets carried away and shoots the guy's leg before revealing his face. Doug isn't thrilled with Jem's recent violent behavior. Frawley uncovers Dez's file as a Vericom employee and sees that his sick days match the dates of several bank robberies. This leads them to a family barbecue where they ID the entire gang, but they still lack solid evidence to arrest them. For now, Frawley has his agents keep an eye on all of them. On a sunny day, Claire and Doug are having lunch together, and she tells Doug how the weather reminds her of the day her brother passed away. When she gets up to use the restroom, Jem unexpectedly shows up and sits with Doug, who's now worried Jem will find out his secret. Claire returns, and Jem is clearly taken aback to see her, but he goes along with the conversation before leaving. Doug makes sure to cover Jem's neck as he leaves. Jem later brings up to Doug that it's a terrible idea to sleep with someone who could potentially send them to jail. He hasn't told the others, but wants Doug to fix it, and focus on their next operation. Doug doesn't think they're ready for the next robbery because he doesn't like the crew they'll be working with and thinks they should find someone else. But Jem persists, so Doug agrees on one condition. This will be his final job. Doug then visits his father in prison and informs him he may be going away for a while and asks why he never searched for his mother. His father tells him there's no point in trying to make someone into a mother who doesn't want to be one. It's Friday, and time for their next heist. They gather hair from a hair salon to use as fake evidence, clean themselves up, and make sure their equipment is spotless without any fingerprints. They follow an armoured truck and make their move as soon as it parks. At first, things go well, but a guard resists and pulls out his gun. With the police hot on their trail, they kill the guard and rush back to their getaway car, speeding off to avoid capture. They cause chaos on the roads while trying to shake off the cops. When they're finally cornered, they fire on the officers and make their escape. Glonsey performs daring driving moves to get the police cars to collide. They switch cars, burn their previous ride, and block the road for the cops. Frawley, who is following the case from his office, orders the police to close the bridge. However, it is too late. The thieves cross it before the cops get there. Frawley orders his agents to bring in the gang for questioning. Jem remains quiet, while Doug confidently mentions that they knew they were being followed by the FBI due to their recognizable antennas. Frawley grows more suspicious of Claire after she quits her job at the bank and begins tapping her phone, finding out she's been in touch with Doug. Doug meets with Claire, giving her a diamond necklace and asking her to run away with him, which she agrees to. But later, Frawley pays Claire a visit and spots the necklace before revealing Doug's true identity. In the meantime, Doug turns down a job offer from Fergie, telling Jem to find someone else as he's done with the life. Jem is furious with Doug for turning down the job offer. Jem reminds Doug that he once killed someone to protect him, but Doug remains unfazed and stands by his decision to decline the job offer. Doug decides to talk to Fergie about his decision to not take the job, but Fergie stresses that Doug is the one with the smarts and the brains for the job. Fergie shares with Doug that his father went solo many years ago, and that's why he hooked up Doug's mother with drugs, leading to her death from overdoses. Fergie threatens to do the same to Claire if Doug doesn't take the job. Doug tries to keep an eye on her and sees one of Fergie's men hang a funeral wreath on her door. This forces Doug to accept the job. Doug visits Claire again. He promises to never hurt her and asks her to wait for him. He explains that he may have robbed many banks, but he has never killed anyone. At a meeting with the gang, Fergie spills his plan. They're going to hit Fenway Park the day after a big game, when the safes are expected to be packed. Meanwhile, Frawley zeroes in on Chris at a bar, thinking she could be vulnerable. He flirts with her and flashes his badge, implying that he knows she's working for Fergie. When she asks for a lawyer, Frawley tries to drive a wedge between her and Doug by mentioning that he never even got her a diamond necklace, despite being with her for years. Chris gives Frawley some false information, so on the day of the heist, Frawley and his team end up following the wrong truck. Meanwhile, Chris visits Doug to ask him to bring her along, but he sends her away after telling her he's leaving with someone else. Frawley later tracks Chris down at the hospital after she crashed her car while drunk. He offers her protection for her and her baby in exchange for information. Feeling exploited, she caves and reveals details about the Fenway Park heist. As Des uses his electrical skills to deactivate the alarms and cameras, Doug and Jem dress up as cops to enter the stadium with the help of a Fergie contact. When their police act fails, they whip out their guns and force the employees and guards to the ground, tying them up. Once they reach the cash room, they threaten the employees by claiming to have men at their homes who will shoot their wives if they try anything funny. They quickly fill their bags with as much money as possible and head to the parking lot where Glonsey and Des are waiting for them in an ambulance. The FBI is closing in, and as soon as Jem notices, he starts shooting at them. Doug mentions to Des he doesn't have a criminal record, so he could walk away. Des, however, feels rather insulted by this and tells Doug he's not prepared to hand himself in. The FBI throws some stun grenades through the windows then, and while the thieves' senses are compromised, they send special agents inside that shoot Des as soon as he stands up. Glonsey goes for a daring plan. The ambulance takes off, but when the FBI can't stop it by shooting the tires, a sniper takes out Glonsey with a headshot. The FBI falls for the trap and checks out the ambulance. This gives Doug and Jem the chance to escape by slipping away disguised as police officers. The FBI soon learns from the hostages that they had been ambushed by cops, so Frawley begins searching for officers who seem suspicious. He quickly notices Jem walking away fast and follows him into a parking lot. As soon as Frawley calls him by his name, Jem opens fire on him and soon finds himself surrounded by the FBI and cops, while Doug watches from across the street. Frawley shoots Jem in the leg and he takes cover behind a mailbox, but soon realizes he's out of ammo. Rather than be taken back to jail, Jem decides to end it all and walks out, guns blazing. The agents quickly shoot him dead. Doug honors Jem's sacrifice by making a break for it and snagging a police car while everyone is occupied with Jem's body. He speeds over to the flower shop and takes out Fergie and his goon without a scratch. Doug recovers some money he had hidden and calls Claire. She has the FBI with her in the apartment, listening to their conversation. Claire asks him to come over, claiming she's alone, but Doug knows she's lying because he's watching the apartment. He apologizes to Claire one more time, and she gives him a clue about the trap by mentioning sunny days. He acts like he's clueless and goes along with it. Meanwhile, the FBI is waiting for Doug with Claire, but he's hiding some cash in her garden and leaves a note on Frawley's car to mock him. He then takes off from the city on a train, disguised as an MBTA uniform. Days later, she finds the money Doug left for her with a note saying one day they may see each other again. She decides to donate it to refurbish the local ice hockey arena where Doug once played in memory of his mother.